When Bruce Hardle shut off his toes, Dan Hardle had been in a terrible accident in his dune buggy and had rolled over and had crushed his head. And then they said they didn't know if Dan was going to live. And Mom and Dad went up to go see Dan and see if it was his last days on Earth. And they didn't really want to leave us home. And I don't know where Steve and Tom were. I don't know. My guess is Steve was on his mission and Tom had just gotten married. Because I think Bruce was 13 and Martin was 12 and I was 11. And so Dad put Bruce in charge. He said, Bruce, I trust you. You're trustworthy. And you watch out for your siblings while we're gone to go see Dan. And then Martin comes running into the house one day and he says, Bruce shot off his toes. Bruce shot off his toes. And Bruce comes limping in, and apparently they jumped across the little ditch in the back of the yard, and he hadn't put the safety on the gun, and the gun shot off when he was jumping the little ditch. So then it's bleeding, and we don't know how bad it is and what it is. And so Bruce says to me, Heather, go fill the bathtub. And Bruce is calm and collect, go fill the bathtub. And I filled up the bathtub so we could take a look at it. And then takes off his shoe and he puts it in the water of the bath. And you know what happens, the whole bathtub turns red and looked like Bruce was bleeding to death. And I'm 11 years old and I'm thinking he shot off his entire foot, not just a toe or two. And then we looked and about one toe was missing and the other one, he got a nice hole in between the two. And so then Mom had said her friend Ida Smith would be our guardian if something happened. So then Bruce says to me, well, it looks like I'm going to have to go to the hospital. Call Ida Smith. And we call Ida Smith and she takes him to the hospital. And Bruce sits there very patiently and they take a little x-ray of it. And then they said, we need a little reconstructive surgery on this. And Ida wasn't given a signed guardianship. So then they call Betty Lambert. And they said, Betty Lambert, we need a blood relative to sign that you can have surgery. So Betty has to get off work. At that time, no cell phones, anything. It takes a long time. And so Bruce is sitting at the hospital with Ida all day long until Betty finally comes like 6 hours later. And Bruce was saying, boy, that was so painful. It was so sore sitting there throbbing. And without a parent's signature or a blood relative, they wouldn't give him an aspirin. No painkillers at all. So then they did the surgery and they bring home Bruce the next day, and his foot's all wrapped up, and then Mom and Dad come driving home. I guess they've been driving home all night from California, visiting Dan, and Dan is pulling through, and he's going to be okay. And, Bruce hasn't complained a word about anything. And then Bruce is sitting on the couch, and he's got his foot up, and it's all wrapped after this operation, and my dad comes in and says, well, I'm glad you're okay. And everyone in there settled down. And then he patted Bruce. And then he said, Bruce, I'm disappointed in you. I put you in charge. And Bruce started sobbing. That was the biggest heartbreak. He let his dad down because Bruce and Dad were so close. And he felt like Bruce didn't cry at all when he was hurt. He only cried when Dad came home. And so I think somebody got hurt before, like you said. Bruce may have driven himself to the hospital at a different time, but in this case where he shot off his two toes and I was around, that's the story.
Yeah.
How many toes gone?
It wasn't the little toe, it was the two toes next to the little toe.
They find it and they put suede or no?
I think I don't know what reconstructive surgery.
They put some duct tape on it. He was fine.
Yeah, duct tape was fine.
But he's okay now?
It was sure all wrapped up, and he's fine now.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know.
We were all tough.
I don't know. So now we're watching another video.
Stop that and just say that as that story.